Most people don't fail because they're unmotivated. They fail because they're using the wrong blueprint. They're trying to build a life with old tools. And you know what happens? Every January or every Monday, they're starting over. You know the famous, I'll start Monday. That's going to happen. And what happens is they repeat the same cycle. Big goals, big excitement, followed by quiet disappointment. So today we're going to look at changing all of that. We're going to talk about setting goals that actually stick. Because if we're going to learn to love ourselves, we need something that's going to keep us on track. So stick around, grab yourself a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage, and let's talk about it on A Different Choice.
Oh, you gotta love yourself. Yeah, you gotta love yourself. Hey, you gotta love yourself. Just letting you know, you got to love yourself.
Have you ever wondered why it is that we set goals that we can't keep or don't keep? I mean, we meant it when we said it, and yet by February or March or by next Wednesday or next Thursday, we're falling off. And I say we because I've had the same issue. I'm not going to try to pretend that I'm perfect because I'm not. But I have discovered something. The problem isn't the person. And many times I thought I was the problem. That's why I would beat myself up. And I couldn't figure out why I was so undisciplined, why I couldn't get over the hump, so to speak. But after a while, I found out that the problem isn't the person, the problem is the process. And when you change the process, you change the outcome. So today I want to walk you through a way of setting goals that actually stick, goals that don't evaporate, goals that don't intimidate you, goals that don't shame you. I want to help you to see goals that actually shape you. And it starts with this. Don't start with task, start with identity. Because when you start with task, you create pressure. But when you start with identity, you create direction. Identity is the engine and task are the tires. If the engine isn't running, the tires won't move. But what do I mean by that? Well, instead of saying, I want to read more, say something like, I want to feed my mind daily. Or instead of saying, I want to pray more, say I'm becoming more connected to God. See, identity gives your goal a reason to exist. It gives your goal a place to live and a future to grow into. Because here's the truth. You will always behave in alignment with who you believe you are. What I'm saying is if you believe you're inconsistent, you'll act inconsistently. If you believe you're undisciplined, you'll act undisciplined. If you believe you're a failure, you'll sabotage your own progress just to prove that you're a failure. That's the mind at work. But when you shift your identity, even before you shift your behavior eventually catches up. Now, once identity is set, we can go ahead and move to the next principle, which is make the goals smaller than your ego wants. Now, listen, we love big goals. We love goals that sound impressive when we say them out loud. Goals like, I'm going to read 50 books this year, or I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 2 months, or maybe even I'm going to pray an hour a day. But the brain doesn't care about what's impressive. The brain cares about wins, small wins, but consistent wins, wins that build momentum. If you want a goal that sticks, make it so small that you almost feel silly doing it. For instance, if you want to walk more, start with 10 minutes a day. If you want to read more, start with 1 page. If you want to pray more, start with 5 minutes. When you give yourself positive affirmations, start small and then work your way to where it doesn't sound silly to you. Look at it this way. You're not lowering the bar, you're building a runway. You're giving yourself a chance to take off and creating a rhythm your life can actually support. Because consistency beats intensity every time. Intensity impresses people, but consistency, that transforms you. But even small goals fall apart if they float around in your day with no anchor. And that's why the next step is crucial. Listen to this. Attach your goal to a trigger. Motivation is unreliable, but triggers are dependable. Now, a trigger is something that already happens in your day, something automatic that your new habit can attach itself to. How about this? When I pour my morning coffee, I will read one scripture. When I brush my teeth, I will speak one affirmation. And just think about it. The Bible can be right there by the coffee pot, or you're already in the mirror when you're brushing your teeth. So you can say at least one affirmation. See, the trigger removes the "I'll do it later" trap. The trigger turns your goal into a rhythm when you attach it to things that you already do. And once you get into a rhythm, you need visibility. Because people don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they forget. You know, life gets loud, days get busy, and if your goal is out of sight, it will eventually be out of your life. And just like they say, out of sight, out of mind. So put it where you can see it, like a sticky note, on a mirror, a checklist, on the refrigerator, a reminder on your phone. Visibility creates accountability without shame. It keeps the goal in front of your eyes, and so it stays in front of your life. Now let's talk about something that most people never consider. You don't need a streak, you really need a system. Because streaks break, but systems adapt. A system answers 3 questions. When will I do it? Where will I do it? And what will I do if I miss a day? And that third question is really the secret sauce. Because missing a day isn't failure, it's human. The problem isn't missing a day. The problem is the shame spiral that follows. So build grace into the system. And I know that you heard me say that word grace often, but it's important, especially for us, for ourselves. Because remember, we can sabotage ourselves really quick. That's why having grace is important. Grace lets me know that if I miss a day, I can restart tomorrow. No guilt, no drama, none of that. Grace keeps goals alive, but shame and disappointment kills them. And as you move forward, don't wait until the finish line to celebrate. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Remember, celebrate the small wins. Your brain needs rewards, and your spirit needs encouragement. And celebration doesn't have to be big, it just has to be felt. Share the win with someone who shares your understanding and commitment. Take a moment to breathe and recognize that you're growing, because celebration turns into discipline and discipline turns into joy. It turns effort into energy. It turns habits into something your brain actually wants to repeat. But the deepest layer, the layer that makes goals stick long term, is purpose. A goal without purpose is just a chore. But a goal with purpose becomes a calling. Ask yourself, why does this matter to the future version of me? Why does this matter to the person I'm becoming? And this purpose has to be your purpose. It has to be something that you want to do for yourself. See, purpose fuels perseverance. Purpose gives your goal a heartbeat. Purpose keeps you going when the excitement wears off. When you get into the day-to-day activity of the goals that you set, your purpose will keep you going. That's how you set goals that don't just sound good. They stay with you. They shape you. They build you. They carry you into the future that you are becoming. I hope this helps you because it's worked wonders for me, especially making my goals smaller and celebrating each time I hit one. And also making sure that all of this that I'm doing for me. Whether it's feeding my mind, losing weight, or whatever else. It has to be something that gives me purpose. Fulfills my calling. Listen, I'll have another video for you next week. All of this that we're learning and talking about is helping us to love ourselves so we can live better, fuller lives. That's all I have for now. But remember, and don't forget this, be good to yourself, forgive yourself, and most importantly, love yourself. And we'll see you next week right here on A Different Choice.
Ooh, you gotta love yourself. Yeah, you gotta love yourself. Hey, you gotta love yourself. Just letting you know, you got to love yourself.